We now leave you with our special program Straight Talk. In this week's special segment of Straight Talk, we spoke to author and life coach Dr. Neeta Bhushan. Her tale is that of a phoenix rising from the ashes. Take a look.
I'm Dr. Neeta Bhushan. I'm a global advocate, educator, and strategist for emotional intelligence. I am the international best-selling author of Emotional Grit.
This week on Straight Talk, we will be sitting down with Dr. Neeta Bhushan, who's the author of the book called Emotional Grit. She talks about emotional intelligence and what it takes for somebody to move forward and become a leader by having the emotional quotient. Thank you for joining me, Neeta, on Straight Talk. Let me start by asking you, how did you get to the point of writing a book, The Emotional Grit?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor. I think it's been a culmination of all of my life's events up until this point of grit, of resilience, of adversity, of challenge, and really culminating what it means to be emotionally resilient and emotionally intelligent in several different capacities of my life.
Emotional intelligence, you talk about something which is missing from a lot of the world sometimes.
Yeah.
Explain a bit about emotional intelligence.
Well, in a nutshell, I would have to say, with regards to emotional intelligence, it's not something that we are taught, especially coming from an Asian background. My mom was Filipino, my dad was Indian, Punjabi, and a lot of times as children, you're taught, obey, follow the rules, don't talk back, don't say anything, don't speak up. And so having the awareness is sometimes actually missed, where you're not able to think for yourself, and you think for the basis of seeking validation from your families. And then when we grow up as adults, then we're seeking validation from society, from our peers, from people around you. And so what emotional intelligence really is having the awareness to make better decisions as a result.
Emotional intelligence must play a very large role when it comes to leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
How does one develop that? Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot, and really what it boils down to is after I've traversed over 45 different countries, interviewed probably over 1,000 different leaders, I've gathered that there are 11 basic characteristics that really comprise the emotional health of a human being. And it stems from having the awareness of knowing yourself, which means that no matter what, you're coming from a place of being authentic, coming from a place of being transparent. So authenticity is, I would say, the first building block. And when I talk about, for instance, emotional grit. Grit is really a process. Grit has been an acronym. In the West, we talk a lot about grit being very masculine, very tenacious, very messy, very bold, very fierce. And really the process of the acronym of grit is to grow, to reveal, to innovate, and then to transform, revealing a different, aspect or perspective of yourself when you actually are aware, when you accept, when you're committing to an action, and then you're actually, transforming, putting those actions into a form that's going to, better humanity in some way.
Now let's talk about what will it take for people to understand that each individual can be a leader in their own little small way?
Yeah, I love this question because, I talk a lot about the idea of being revolutionary. And for everyday humans, what that actually means, whether you're a housewife of 2 children, or you're a leader, or you're a business icon of a multi-million-dollar company, we all have steps and we all have a journey, and every single day we have the same 24 hours. And so if we're actually being conscious and cognizant of the actions that we make and being truthful in who we are, all it takes is just a little bit to be better than the day before. And if each of us can actually do that and work towards that, then perhaps we can actually push the needle forward and, what I like to say, push humanity forward in that sense.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.